Hey y'all, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. It is me. I am here. Excited you could be on with me today. Welcome to the Growing Book Club, where we believe in your growth, in exploration, having good times, having definitely good conversation. So if that's something you're interested in, you are in a good place. Just let me know. I want to make sure too that you can hear me. So if you can drop it in the comments, let me know. Come um, we'll be getting started here shortly. If you, we would love to have you, share your thoughts and things. If you are new, we are in the book called A Fathering Spirit. I want to show you the book so you'll know where we are. And see that you are in good hands. Okay. So this is the book. The name of the book is A Fathering Spirit. And we will be working on this book for the rest of the month. We have been going strong for lately. So I'm excited. For the past 6 months. Yeah, we've been going 6 months strong in the book club. So we started this book club in January. And every month we have put out a quality book filled with quality content to really help you in all aspects of your life. One thing I want to point out with this book is this book is based on fathering, fatherhood, and honestly, what kind of a father you may want to, look forward to. I know sometimes we have absent fathers, sometimes we have great fathers, sometimes we have a stepfather, sometimes we have no father. And deadbeats. And then sometimes we have, as Jacob just said, a deadbeat father. He's gonna be on in a minute. He's grubbing. But anywho, we are excited that you are here today, and we are going to be picking up on page 39 in the life of Noah. Noah, as you know, had three sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. So we're going to be talking about them today and just showing how applicable this book can be to your life. If you have not grabbed this book, or if, coming off of Father's Day yesterday, if you just honestly want to know the importance of having a father, fatherhood, fathering, I encourage you to grab this book. So the book, if you want the digital copy, is $10.70. That's including the tax. And then if you want the physical book, it will come signed, it will come with tracking, and I will make sure you get the book from me, yours truly. You'll have it in a few days. So if this is something that you would like to have, you can order it. When you do order the physical copies, you can definitely read along with us as we read this book each week. We have about 2 more weeks to go, and then we will be uh, transitioning into another book that you don't want to miss. Okay, and the book for next month I will announce well, actually next week, because next week this book. So time is flying. You still have enough time to get it read. It is not that long of a book. It is a topic-based book. So it is not, hard to basically jump in and get reading, catch up even. And then if you want to ultimately read it based on wherever you may find yourself, you can definitely do that. You don't have to read it in order. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna bring that. And again, we're on page 39. If you want to follow along, I will throw the book up just so you can see page 39. If you want to follow along, and I'll read first, and Jacob will be reading after me. 39. Okay. Noah. So here we are. Noah, a man whom we all know was not perfect. He was a man with a habitual drinking problem that was written about in the scriptures. He was called at a dark time when the world seemed to have given way to the cultural demand to blend faith, genes, and other unclean acts. The Father says that Noah was the only one pure in his family in Genesis 6:9. Not sure the depths of that statement because it can be argued that gene splicing, joining animal DNA with human DNA, and other acts were happening even back in these times, and the Father hated it. He did not like humans partaking with angels or mixing blood with creatures. He wanted to start life anew and rid the earth of what he detested. He gave Noah the assignment to gather every beast, small and great, and put them on the ark. Only he had to build the ark first with very specific instructions. He had to find the wood, and it's not clear if he had to do most of this work himself with some help or alone. Many thought he was crazy to build a boat on dry land. How many of y'all got assignments that sounds absolutely crazy? And as you're trying to get it done, people are not really supportive of you. In fact, they are really trying to discourage you and tell you you need to be realistic, get your head out of the clouds. You're not hearing God, you're hearing some weird voice in your head.
Right.
I want to encourage you, you're not crazy. And sometimes what the Father asks us to do sounds crazy because it's not something we would, out of our own thinking, do
Right.
or choose to do. And so this is the goodness and the power of the Father is he's able to, as he says, bring life into dead bones. He's able to restore, what we thought could never be broken or healed and make it make sense. So if you feel like, okay, am I crazy? The short answer is no. Keep reading. Let me keep reading to you and keep encouraging you that you're not. This is right on time for you. So he would try to warn people about what was to come, but no one would heed his warnings. I mean, have y'all ever tried to warn somebody like, hey, look, you don't want to do that, but ain't nobody hearing you?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? As fathers, you can hear it. As children, we get warnings from those that are like fathers to us, or even the father of lights. He's trying to question is can you be sensitive enough or humble enough, or are you only hearing what you want to hear?
Right.
It says, have you ever tried to tell people a storm was coming and no one lifted a finger to prepare? They didn't get to water, have a flashlight, batteries, nothing. They just assumed God, Yah, would provide when they could have prevented the fallout that would ensue. Noah was a good father who cared for his children and grandchildren. He also cared for nature and all the animals the Lord cared about. He put them on the boat, plus the provision of food for the journey, and remained on the boat for 40 days and 40 nights. He had to listen to siblings' quarrels, women getting sick, and I can imagine animals trying to get out of hand. Can you imagine trying to break up a fight between two gorillas? Or dealing with birds flying all around because they want out? Remember, all these creatures was on this boat, so
Right.
there had to be chaos. There had to be smells. There had to be
Right.
frustrations. There had to be,
Right.
why are we taking care of every animal in the jungle right now? When there's land somewhere, can we let out some of these creatures? And the father was like, nah, they all got to roll with you. I know some of us be ready to like push, get our children away here, get
Right.
something,
Right.
offload some of our stress.
Right.
And the father's like, no, I need you to be full blast for 40,
Right.
40 days and 40
Right.
nights.
I
No
had,
nights off.
I see, because honestly, I had seen.
Welcome, Jacob, y'all, to the conversation.
So I had seen like some TikTok. It was a post there talking about who will win 1 man 100 men versus one gorilla, and the dude said let the let the gorilla run me. He gonna get defeated or something like that.
He said if it was 100 men and a gorilla,
One gorilla who gonna win?
hmm, it depends on how angry that gorilla is, though. Like, gorilla would tear up some stuff.
Right.
Um,
Real though.
so, yeah, so where were we before we got talking about gorillas? Um, or yes, right. So it could have been stressful on the boat. Staying sober minded is a requirement of Yah, but he also inspired the text. Drink and be merry, Ecclesiastes 8:15. I'm sure there were days he said, I need a drink, Father. Moments when cuss words were said and he lost his temper. There may be days you say that too, or you lose it and have a cussing session to get it all out. I'm not condoning drunkenness or cussing, and neither does the Bible or the word of Yah, but he understands. I think that's the key.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we go through these time periods where we just have to get it out. And sometimes when you get it out, it don't come out, you know what I'm saying, filtered. It may not come out
Right.
with everybody's feelings considered,
Right.
but the Father can handle your rawness. He can handle you being, with him and yourself. Around you may need to honestly be talk after you get your heart, clear, adjusted, because that way you can be more mindful of how your words come out.
Right.
But ultimately, you got to have a safe space. And, if you don't have a safe space with anybody else, the Father has to be and needs to be your safe space. So, I encourage you to be able to be as open and transparent as we say. We're naked before Him anyway, because He sees all and all. So there's nothing that's hidden from Him. So, however you may feel, however you may need Him, you can be very transparent and just say what you need Him to do.
Right.
And He can hear and understand you, which I love. If you are dealing with an addiction or a problem that you want to end and are struggling, the Father can still use you mightily to father your children and a nation. 3 nations came from Noah. He was born on a continent that didn't even like albinos and would kill them, yet he survived because Noah was an albino. He was white. You um, you know, I would say yes, based on some of the things we read. Others may say no. No, he wasn't a habitual drunk. He just liked to drink, and differentiation with that. But I would say there are a lot of functioning, people with addictions or things that they feel like they need to survive or to cope with life. And the truth is, even if that is some people's choice, the Father can still A, use them, 2, deliver them, 3, they can still get into heaven. I know it sounds crazy because we'll say, oh, the Bible says that, don't give way to drunkenness, lewdness, and all these other things in Ecclesiastes. And they're there for a reason. They're there because He wants to show you His very best. And unfortunately, sometimes we don't always pick His best, but that doesn't mean that He doesn't have the best still for us. What we cannot accomplish, that's what grace and mercy extends to, for us to do. And His work will be perfected in us. But as the Bible says, that all things are permissible, but they're not all profitable. So if you choose to indulge in these types of behaviors, it will take a toll on your life. So it doesn't mean that you can live any kind of way and God will just, bring you to heaven. You have to be His child too. And His children may look like the world because we may have some of the same flaws or some of the same problems or some of the same struggles and battles. But He knows His children and calls them by name. And so if you are saying, well, I can't be a child of Yah because I don't know how to give this up, or I can't give it up, or I don't know how, He knows how to deal with things that
That stronghold
we struggle with. Yeah, He knows how to deal.
Yeah.
And for some of us, we
You
may,
gotta let Him do it.
that I agree. You got to let Him do it. Like He said to the man that was laying on the mat. He said, do you want to be made whole? And some of us, that answer is a battlefield because we say yes, but then we would go back and lay on the mat as if we were never healed. So if that man didn't pick up his mat and walk, he would have never realized he was healed. And for some of us, we don't pick up our mat and go nowhere. We stay right where we were and still complain because we don't realize He's already done the work. His word has already done the work. His promise has already done the work. So the question is, will you accept the gifts that He brings? And if you reject them, then it will be the stumbling block in your life. And you will live with the after effects of that stumbling block. But anywho, yes, so we get to Noah proves that we can please Yah even if we may look like a failure to people. I think that right there is a mystery. How you can look like a failure to the world and be a success story in the hands of God. You might say, how in the world is that possible? King David is proof. I'm not going to talk too much about him because he is in the book. But 9 out of 10, based on kind of how we're tracking, we might not get to his full story, but it is in this. He wasn't a perfect by far. I mean, he has had a lot of innocent men, and some would even argue kidnapped a woman because he didn't want to hear him raise children that completely were struggling. I mean, one sibling raped a sister, the other one killed the brother that did it because his dad didn't do nothing about it. And then after that, that son thought he should be king, and he ended up having to have that son killed. So he lost 3 of his children in a honestly like a in a swoop. The only one that was decent
Back to back.
was
That's
King
crazy.
Solomon, which was the son of the woman he raped
Right.
and killed her husband. So that's drama and that's problems. But the father says he was a man after his own heart, very imperfect man, could still not only make it into heaven, but encounter the father
Yeah.
and inherit a everlasting gift of his bloodline forever being on the, in kings, and I think that is something only the father can explain, right? And the truth is, I think sometimes we're looking for him to explain himself, like father thing these people, or why not this people, or why this, why that. Tell us, because he's God.
Right.
And I know sometimes it sounds gonna change what he's and how he feels. Yes.
Listen, deep though. That's all.
Oh. Day. So we're gonna read the about Noah section. So in case you are wanting to peek it is, really short chapters about the essentially the father concept. And then after that and that's about, and then ultimately we have another one that'll say make it personal. So I'm going to read this and then soon we'll into the life of Jacob and Israel. So Noah wasn't a perfect, he was a good father who sought to protect his, was a faithful servant of Yah who liked to drink. He drank a lot to the point sometimes to where he could have been misunderstood by people. The father gave not only his family, but also all the animals in his proximity to hold himself, his sons, their wives, and his wife. He did the command of Yah God concerning his family when everyone thought he was crazy and found favor for all nations. This is an assignment I would encourage consider. Just hearing the life of Noah, fathering your children, continue to do that because your faithfulness will bless all of your children. All of the children inherited something from Shem, Ham to Japheth. Inheritance also. What that inheritance looks like, according to the father and their abilities. But I want to encourage you that the father is not empty handed when it comes to how he can and their children. So, what's your impact? How can you impact teenagers and those around you with the life of Noah? One, you get favor. I mean, Noah had favor. It takes favor to get all of the supplies you need for you. So sometimes our visions are small, but the Father can max and make it bigger, but to also provide on the lives of your children. Do the will of Yah, and He will bless your children and all those in your house. I want to also help you to make this personal. And this is the reflection I want to share with you. Point one, Noah was a faithful follower of Yahweh. Point two, he provided for his family by building the ark to protect them during the 40-day and 40-night flood. Sometimes you got to listen to something crazy your parents say because they just might have it right. I know some people might say, oh, you ain't got to listen to your daddy. Don't listen to your mama. They don't know what they're talking about. But then when it happens, you like, dang, I should listen to my mom and my dad. So if they are praying people, if they are, looking out for your best interests, then maybe you should consider some of the forewarnings they give you and prepare anyway. Because if it were to happen, you will be ready. Point three, he was willing to work when no one else was around or commended his actions. Sometimes you have to be willing to do what's necessary, even if no one is your cheerleader, even if no one believes you got it, start calling you crazy or big thinker or overachiever. That's okay because in due season you will reap the reward that you should have. Because so point four, he kept order on the boat and was faithful to save the animals alive. When we are faithful to the assignment that the Father gives us, then we can be faithful to not only save our own lives, but save the lives of those around us. So you become a river, that's not blocked. You become a body that is able to give and to pour out and not to be a to yourself, but to be a giver also requires so you can continue to give. So I encourage you to keep giving. Point five, each of his sons received an inheritance of land, people, and a nation. When you do right by the Father, He will find a way to bless everyone in your home, no matter their birth order. I know there's a lot that happens in society and in certain cultures, including the Hebrew culture, where the oldest kind of inherited majority of things. But we serve a God that is able to bless you out of order. I mean, King David was not the oldest. He was one of the, I think he was the youngest, in fact. And he ended up being the one that inherited the throne. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at the life of Jacob, and Esau, you see a similar thing. When you look at the life of Ephraim and Manasseh, you see something else. So the Father is not a respecter of birth order in the way that we may think He is, although He respects, birth orders in the natural. His choices are His own. And so if you inherit what belongs to you, I have a play called "What's for You is for You," and it will be performing in November. I'm so excited about it.
So
But
excited.
yes, and so I really believe in it. And if you don't know yet, I want to encourage you that what's yours is yours. But here's the affirmation I want you to speak over your life. Think about it today, meditate on it today, and say it throughout the week if you have to. But remember this: I will be faithful to honor Yah God, even if I am flawed, and strive to be a good father to bring favor on my children. And if you're a mother, favor on children, you being faithful, generational things can happen when we are consistent in our service. And so a parent has an impact. Children that the Father put in your hands to be able to encourage. There are a lot of young people that need us. There's a lot of young people that have a good father or a good mother or somebody that can speak over their lives. And I dare say, with this book, I think we can work those elements out. All right, so that's Noah. Now it's Israel. So you know that Israel was the name. And getting his life right. But Jacob means trickster. Learn more about that here with Jacob. And Israel is the name that the Father renamed. We go through a process. The Father is make us new and to restore in us what we should have always been from the get go. But sometimes we have to go through the low roads to get to the high one. So I'm gonna stop talking now, and I'm gonna let Jacob read now. It's your turn, my brother.
All right. Jacob, a partner of a divided, didn't learn from the mistakes of his parents. When we are born into the or raised to value and understanding, it is hard to break. It is far more natural to fall into the familiar old history. Loves to entrap families in by sending the same demons or spirit a family because it worked on the father. We must learn from our parents that work and what was a challenge. They prepare archers to overcome what we fail at. What we learn, we want to share with them so they don't. That is true though, cause cause basically, child, if you're a parent, you don't want your child to make the old mistakes that you made and everything.
Right.
Unless you lead your child into like basically leading your that be a totally different story right there though.
Unfortunately, if you
No,
were trying to entrap your children, then yeah, they misdirect them.
right,
But for most of us, that's not our objective. Our us.
exactly,
And so, if that's the goal,
right,
then you want to set them on the right foundation.
right. Because you
Mhm.
train if you when your child get older and all, and you realize they in a certain position in life, then that falls back on you. You ask yourself, what did I do to make that happen? He tried to show equal love to his sons, and he did until Joseph, the son of love, was born. Jacob falls in love with Rachel and agrees to work for 7 years to marry her. They wait 6 years.
Yes, he did.
That felt like when I say about wait. He was tricked her twin sister.
Mm-hmm.
He was tricked, however, into marry his twin sister, born with a lazy eye, Leo. He didn't know who he had in his bedchamber until the next day when he saw her. I am sure he got the shot of his life. Like how he tricked his father. He too was tricked in the dark. How you treat your parents does matter. And the Bible says to honor your father and mother so that your days will be long. Days come by Exodus 2012.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I know y'all word now.
Mm-hmm.
We don't pick our parents or their flaws. We are to love them with their flaws and trust the Father to repay what man cannot. We can choose who we allow to follow us. However, Jacob fled home after taking all that he could from Esau, and he dreaded the day he would return because of Esau. But he have to come home and face them. I just realized I never read that. We cannot run away from our troubles, but we will someday have to face them bravely before our parents go into the grave. Now Jacob had to work 7 more years to marry Rachel, and he did. The woman he loved could not bear children, so she had her maidservant bear children on her behalf. Leah had many children, and she also gave her maidservant to bear children. There was 12 sons born between 4 women, and to all other children, he was the father. He was the father, what they say on.
Yeah, he was the five.
He has to deal with 4 women, all with demands of some kind of complaints. His sons were used to working together because they lived for this large family. Their sisters are not included in the 12 in the in the 12 council sons.
Mm-hmm.
After amassing much wealth, he was told to go home after being cheated twice by his father-in-law. His lying, cheating ways caught up with him,
Mm-hmm.
or how he treated his parents. Then comes how he treated his own children when Joseph was born.
Yeah.
He prayed what have come years earlier. He
Mm-hmm.
was younger than his brother and was a child. I think who looked the most like Rachel, he was handsome and most importantly reminded him of Rachel.
I think he did. So
Wow.
I'm not saying that that is affirmatively true, but the
Yeah.
reason why I would say that he did look like Rachel was because when Joseph ended up going to Egypt, they said he was very, very good looking.
Right.
And likely he had probably a lot of his mother's like characteristics. And I think this is also probably why when Israel looked at Joseph, he even saw more love for him because he saw Rachel in him.
Yeah.
And so when you see the person you love that's gone in somebody, then you may look to share what you would have shared with them if they would have been here, with that child or with
Right.
that person. And it's not always fair, of course, but it is maybe something we have to give people grace with because, some of us look like somebody else and it can bring torment to us.
Yeah.
And sometimes we look like somebody else and it gives us more favor. And I think that was the case with Joseph. I think he got even more favor from his father because of the connection he had with Rachel, the woman he
Wow.
loved that's now gone.
That's wild.
Hmm.
His wife died giving birth to Benjamin, and the other ladies helped to raise them. I'm sure, though, it was grief and torment to see his wife and his son. His heart was to show his love for a wife long gone, with the son who remained. I don't think he made Joseph favors just because he was born of a woman he loved. I thought you said he was born a woman.
No, no. Born from the
Right,
woman
right.
you love.
I think it was the largest reason, but I also think it was because he was grieving her death and he didn't know how to get unstuck or to show the love he had for her with others. And the grieving process is take a while for the grieving
It can
process.
take a
You know what I
lifetime for
mean?
some people.
Yeah,
If that person was your or
yeah,
things like that,
yeah.
it's not so easy just to throw those people away. And I
Exactly.
think we have to do how long it'll be, or
Hmm.
it doesn't mean married and have more
Right,
children and all kinds of stuff, but
right.
he still grieved her. He
Yeah,
still was
yeah.
looking for her.
Right, exactly.
So yeah.
Sometimes fathers can get stuck and the love they have can't be released because they are torn on the inside. Maybe he also saw the favor of God on his life and he honored that, but the sons could not see that either. He made a coat of many colors for Joseph himself. Can you imagine a man sewing or waving a garment? What
Mhm.
would make a man do that? A farmer at that? Love.
So just to be clear, the coat of many colors wasn't something that he ordered on Amazon for Joseph. He actually sat there. Let me put. He didn't just order this coat on Amazon, y'all. He had to make this. He
Right.
had to gather the stuff. He didn't ask none of the women to make it for him. So it is even a further example of the type of love he had for
Right.
Joseph, and even the respect he had for his mother. So he had to sew that thing or whatever he was doing to make that coat, and then he gave it. So what time does a farmer have to sit in the house and knit when he got all this stuff to do
Right.
on the farm? So
Exactly.
it just goes to show you how he prioritized what he believed in and who he loved and who he loved and how he loved him.
Right.
Hmm.
When the brothers started to take their revenge out on Joseph and kill him out of jealousy, they assumed they they would be loved more. It did not work though. He would he was being written instead, and he didn't move much for years in the absence of his remainder of Rachel. Now she was truly gone, and the sons saw how much grief it caused for Joseph to be gone. Not even Benjamin could curb
His grief.
his grief.
Yeah. So that's the key
Right.
too. Well, how like
Yeah.
there was something about his physical presence
Right.
that gave him calm, and that's what I'm saying. I believe he looked like his deceased wife, because when he left,
Right.
then the face left, and then he was even more
Yeah.
miserable. Yes, I'm sure he missed his son. Of course he did.
Right.
But what would make a man like completely shut down to where even the second son of the same woman wasn't enough,
Yeah.
unless Benjamin did not maybe favor her the same way,
Right.
or he didn't have the same connection he had with Joseph, really with any child.
Right.
So, yeah, you can keep going.
That's ain't no sermon.
No sermon today, Jacob. You wrong.
Oh wow.
I just be talking.
I know, I know. Just saying.
You got people out here thinking I preach all the time. I'm not even a preacher. I'm not a preacher. Minister, yes. Chaplain, yes. No preacher.
All in one. That also helps to conclude that maybe it wasn't just about Joseph from Rachel, but how Joseph favored her so much he missed Rachel and Joseph. If your father is stuck on his first love, or he has spent more time with a child over others, try not to get try to be compassionate and give them the space they may need to overcome their grief. Give situation like this to God and try to love the brother, sister you have, because a father's choice should not be a slight against other children.
Hmm.
I might give it to God. Don't hold on to it. Don't hold on to things. So
Yeah, because it can ruin your relationship or cause you to do stuff like the sons did.
yeah,
Yeah, like some of us ain't gonna sell our brothers out to Egypt,
right,
but it could
exactly.
cause us to stay separated from our parents or to
Yeah,
disassociate our emotions, or not be as loving or kind as we may have wanted to be
right,
because of our own jealousy, of stuff that's out of their control. Joseph couldn't help how Israel treated him because it wasn't his choice. It was Israel's choice.
right,
So you can't penalize, you don't want to penalize how someone else responds to them.
Right.
because it's not their choice, you know?
Right. With my father, but my half brother did. They knew him in ways I never would, and although we were all those sweet children of our own, he still has a different connection with each of us that we had to grow to accept. Fathers can love, but how he shows that love can be different. But that doesn't mean it is not there. Give this heartbreak to God if you have it, and allow Him to help you heal.
Yes. Yes.
Release pain.
That is his favorite book, y'all. And it is a real thing that we do got to do, want to do. And it, you know, if you have, he brought the book, y'all. He's
It's crazy.
read two books one time.
Yeah, yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, and now we are in the about Jacob Israel section.
Tristor and lying to get what he wanted. He cheated to get the blessing, and the same trick he played was later played on him with Leah. He had 4 wives and children for all of them to make the 12 sons of Israel. Oh, he's a pimp. He was a pimp.
Well, he had situations. So to break that kind of down a bit more, he married the two. Well, he got tricked into marrying Leah, who he did
Yeah.
not intend to marry, and then he did marry Rachel, who he wanted to. Then they had servants who he also married. So each of them had a maid, and he married them too. So they had children for him.
Understandable.
Yes. Not that that makes it okay, but that was
Yeah,
the
that's kind of
concept.
awkward.
And in this culture, that was more of the norm with people that had affluence or wealth that could afford.
May have looked like his beauty departed. He was heartbroken and trying to did not show more attention to and an example is the coat of many colors he made for the division amongst the brothers that led to faking Joseph death for his death, their jealousy and desire to be seen. If you are grieving the loss of a loved one or your father, your impact, patient. Some things take time to heal from, and there is no solution. We have to show stuck in a time.
Yes. The people that are kind of stuck, for some reason, they may need more grace. I mean,
Right.
it doesn't sound fair, and it isn't,
Right.
but that's life sometimes. It's not always fair. But we want to make sure that we are giving people grace and the ability, grace and mercy. It shows our gratitude for the Father having grace and mercy for us.
Right.
So, you know, like he says, you know, he first loved us. So that gives us the room to be able to love other people.
Right.
Mhm.
Because love, because God is love.
Yes, he is.
Personal reflection. Point one: choosing with the spouse you love is a powerful feeling. Point two: it was the with his wife and grew up with them. Point three: God gave him vengeance. His boy went in his heart. Also, paying more attention to Joseph more desirable. Point four: his brothers did not take the time to but judged his deeds. Fate the death of Joseph, thinking what was his. Wow.
They did. They thought that getting rid of Joseph meant that the love given to Joseph would spread amongst them.
Yeah.
But it didn't stay with Joseph. I mean, it stayed with Joseph. Not get out of bed. He was depressed and almost to death. You know, he didn't do nothing now.
Wow.
It's not fair. You know, it's not fair that the sons
Yeah.
couldn't really experience the father,
Right.
or for that matter, we don't always experience the father experience we should be entitled to. But this is why, so the father us in ways that our natural fathers don't. You know, but they don't. And so if you feel a void in the fathering experience, say the father knows how to answer that void, someone to fill the gap. You know, even in the presence of the Messiah. He gave the stepfather Joseph to be his because he did this, he had that. But he need a hug, a touch, a hand to feel physical love. And so the Messiah got that from, and so I would encourage you, if you have to get it from a stepfather or a father-in-law or an uncle, it's okay
Right. Because they fathers too.
because they're fathers too.
Point five, like their uncle Esau, they found they could not take what was not theirs. They could only keep what was theirs. And what they had was more than enough if they only spent time to see what they had.
Mhm.
Affirmation. I will not be jealous of what someone else has. Waste my father for their faults, but choose to love them and share mercy. See, just like it's better to have a spirit. To someone else, that really telling God that he don't, they, he not doing a job with you.
Yeah, it's basically you saying up with me because I should have what they have
Mm-hmm.
and what they have.
I feel guilty when I was young.
I think we go through bouts of jealousy.
Hey,
But when release pain, jealousy is one of the topics.
yeah,
It's one of
yeah,
the spirits
yeah.
that
Hey,
bothers.
get that book, $50. Hey,
It's not $50. Just
it's
so
right
we're
here,
clear,
$50.
it's not.
50 bucks.
He wants it to be $50. It's not, Joe.
Hey, I'll sell the books for you. Hey, give me the book.
Oh my goodness. It's not. Okay, hold on. Let me put this book up here. I actually put it out. Release Pain. This book right here, y'all, is a phenomenal book that deals with six.
Y'all better get this book. Y'all don't trip about the views, that.
It deals with 6 areas in your life, and those 6 areas are robbery, unfaithfulness, injustice, betrayal, jealousy, um, and then anger.
Mm-hmm.
And these 6 spirits or entities plague believers and non-believers alike. When we feel robbed, it can make us feel disenfranchised, or it can make us turn our backs on those that are with us because we feel like we're settling when maybe we're
Right.
not. Or we know this person ain't good for us, but we married them anyway. And then when the relationship is sour, we feel robbed of the marriage we should have had. But the truth is, you knew in the beginning you wasn't supposed to marry this person, but you was trying to make one amends or make one thing cover another thing. In the book, I also share a story of a man who married a woman because of a pregnancy, but unfortunately, that baby ended up dying, so they never had the baby. And the same things that told him not to marry her became the same reasons he hated being married to her. One, she never felt he was the right man or had enough money or was on her level, and her father, his father-in-law, made it very clear the same thing. And so, sometimes we make decisions and then after the fact, we got to live with these decisions and they're not comfortable. They're very uncomfortable. And this book right here, it just exposes what robbery really does. And it robbed him not only of marriage, but he spoke words that robbed him of being a father. Sometimes we speak words like, I hate you, or I wish this would have never happened, or I wish she was never pregnant. And then when that baby dies, we got to deal with the words we spoke. How do you deal with the robbery that you also may have inflicted? Some of the things we speak manifest. And in this life, those things manifested. So, and that caused pain. So the enemy's plan is to keep you in pain or torment so it can take your pain and use it against you. That's why the Father wants you to release your pain so that he can use it as your testimony and your blessing, or your, people say, your
And
glory.
also there's purpose in your pain as well.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
purpose.
Yes. And there's power in it, but the enemy wants to make that power dark, and the Father wants to turn it for your good. He says, I will use everything for your good. So, yeah. And when we're dealing with injustice and unfaithfulness, injustice is talking about, yes, it hints to the legal system and how we can basically make one mistake and the whole book gets thrown at some people, whereas other people make some gross errors and they get like passes or what you call it? Yeah, like presidential pardons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's people we know, our uncles and stuff, that ain't getting out ever. And some of their offenses are so minuscule. And so, how do you deal with that injustice? How do you deal with, some of the things that are happening in life and it not make you bitter or angry or wanting to fight or even going to the extreme of speaking words that kill or having thoughts of doing stuff like that? And so, I know a lot of people right now are really passionate to say the least about, some of the decisions Trump is making, or for that matter, any
Yeah.
man or woman in politics or power that we disagree with. How do we deal with that and it not turn us against the very thing that was designed to bless people, to be a voice, to use your voice. So the book has a lot of power and it's not a woman's book. I know the heels can be deceiving, but it is not. But it just goes to show you how you can go from bondage to freedom. And that's what the cover symbolizes essentially. And how we can be in a web and
Hey,
don't
y'all,
realize
hey,
that we
y'all,
can get
y'all,
out.
y'all better get that book. Get that book, man.
So
Y'all
you want to
missing
get
out.
it, you can scan the
Y'all,
QR
y'all
code for
miss,
sure. Click
y'all,
it in the comments
y'all,
too.
y'all missing out on a lot of knowledge.
It's a powerful book. I kid you not. So the verses are in there, the topics, the conversations are in there. It is an easy read, but it is a good, powerful read. It does come with a video that goes with it. It is an experience book. Okay. So it's not something I just like let your hand go on. I like walk through that
And
book.
y'all gonna, yeah.
There are
By,
QR codes in there too to take you through a journey.
by the
With
time
me.
y'all, by the time y'all finish that book, y'all gonna be free for something.
I know, right?
Free for something.
Something gonna fall off after that book. I'm telling you. Yeah. So go ahead. The digital copy is $16, and the physical copy is 35. It's $35, y'all. 35. Don't listen to Jacob. Jacob tells me I need to raise the price, but for me, it's not about. It's not. It does work. I'm not gonna lie to you. It does work. So if you want a book that's powerful and can help you
50
bless your life,
bucks.
it's $35 if you want the physical signed copy from me, or $16 for the digital copy. Focus, focus.
Oh,
Okay, so the next chapter we're gonna go into is Mordecai. If you don't know about Mordecai, Mordecai is the one, he was an uncle to Esther. And for some of us, it's not our fathers that are looking out for us. For whatever reason, her parents were gone, whether they were deceased, whether they had to move, or they had some kind of thing going on. Mordecai was the one that essentially filled in the gap to be a father figure to her and really like guide her through life, more or less. So we're on page 51 in the book. If you're curious, the book we're reading is The Fathering Spirit, if you're just not jumping on. So it reads like this. Fathering children born of love is desired. But if you are called to father out of purpose, would you do it? Many fathers are called to father children who are not born of their blood, but could be distant or close family members. Mordecai was the uncle of Esther. We don't know how her parents died, only that her uncle fathered her in her parents' absence. To be a father of choice with no legal or parental obligation is commendable. So, all of you men out here, fathers out here that are fathering children that are not yours, out of any context, whether you are their coach, their pastor, their uncle, grandfather, great grandfather, or something along those lines, I commend you because you don't have to do it. He was willing to share what belonged to his family with Esther. He invested time and resources to prepare her. It was Mordecai who helped getting to the throne. He showed
Told her to keep the peace simple, and
and
she
she
did.
did.
He
He
showed
showed
her
her
how
how
to
to
regard
regard
a
a
husband
husband
and
and how
how to
to
show
show
respect.
respect.
She
She
submitted
submitted
to
to
her
her
father,
father,
Mordecai,
Mordecai,
and
and
valued
valued
his
his
words.
words.
When
When
he
he
told
told
her
her
less
less
is
is
best,
best,
she
she
won
won
the
the
king's
king's
attention and
attention and
ultimately
ultimately
his
his
affection.
affection.
He
He
chose
chose
her
her
to
to
be
be
queen
queen
because
because
she
she
was
was
authentic
authentic
and
and
had
had
the
the
presence
presence
of
of
royalty.
royalty.
It
It
takes
takes
a
a
father
father
or
or
a
a
father
father
figure
figure
to
to
bring
bring
this
this
out
out
of
of
a
a
woman.
woman.
Yes,
Yes,
fathers
fathers
are
are
necessary
necessary
in
in
order
order
for
for
a
a
woman
woman
to,
to,
really
really
uh,
get
get into
into
a
a
marriage
marriage
and
and
feel
feel
safe.
safe and all these other good things. You're going to need someone to nurture you in that way because no, because the way that we do that is how we show women how to navigate marriage. So I encourage men that are out here doing it and showing their daughters how to become wise. It's amazing. It's a work worthy to do. So when she became queen, he told her how she had a big assignment, even a political calling, right? Some of us are being groomed for greatness. So you ain't gonna be out here being able to be, I would say some things. I hope I don't offend nobody. You can't be out here. I know this is probably old school, which I know I am old school. You can't be out here being a thought. You can't be out here twerking. You can't be out here doing stuff that will damage your character when you are called to royalty, when you are called to something greater than what some, some other women are called to. Always have to have the same seat.
Sometimes, like, where's the respect for yourself?
That's true too. I think some
So you don't
you gotta
respect
have it for
yourself.
you.
So you just don't respect yourself by doing those type of things. Where's the respect for yourself? You are a woman.
And people should respect you, no matter if you are you know what I'm saying, a wife, or if you are a friend, if you're a business owner, or if you're a mother, or whatever your title or office is, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You a father wants to raise a daughter that is worthy of her calling.
Right.
And so allow your fathers to help you. Sometimes they may tell you to change your clothes, or don't wear that, or don't do that, or don't sit like that. I know back in the day, there was etiquette. I'm helping some women write books on etiquette. I'm so excited about them because I think our culture has lost a lot of this etiquette, with this everything goes personality or wave that we kind of allow to impress upon our society. And now we're having to reel it in again.
Right.
And so, yeah, so if you got a father figure that's doing it right in your life, let him guide you. So her uncle understood the importance of being queen. And he was clear on how to navigate the legal landscape with a watchful eye. Haman, another subject of the king, saw how Mordecai was advancing in rank, and he thought to stop him. He planned to discredit him, but that backfired. He had integrity and was wise as a serpent, but harmless as a dove, as it says in Matthew 10:16. He saved the king's life, and it was Haman who had to reward him. Some of the people that are over your life and speaking the stuff you need to hear, somebody's plotting their demise because their demise is your demise. So we don't always see why the person above us might be going through hell. But it may be because of what they're bringing out in you. It's going to put so much fire on the kingdom of darkness that they're trying to take them out, so they're not available to keep you in your office or in your position. So pray for those that are fathering you, that are mothering you, that are guiding and leading you and developing you, because these people are necessary and part of your journey. Mhm. So she had to go before the king. Oh, yeah, we're sorry, y'all. He saved the king's life, and it was Haman who had to reward him. When Haman introduced a bill to kill all the Hebrews, it triggered Mordecai to be strategic and how Esther revealed her identity to the king. Some of you are not sharing everything about yourself with people, and for some reason, the Father may have you withhold some things until the right time manifests to reveal it. And so Mordecai knew how to navigate this. He didn't know she was a Hebrew and that the bill he signed would impact her too. She had to go before the king to plead her position. The only problem was that she could not come to him unless he called for her first. So in this time period, you can't just walk up on a king and say, "Yo, king, let me holler at you." You had to be summoned. And so if he didn't ask for you, you couldn't go. This is why the veil being torn is so important for us. Because when the Messiah, when he died on the cross and the veil was rent or torn, that meant we could come to the King of Kings and bare our souls or ask questions or approach a king that honestly we had no business coming to unless he called our names and we responded. Now we can call on his name and he can choose to respond and to hear us, which is access. I mean, we can't afford that access. So
Right.
that is the importance of what the Messiah did on the cross too. So to go before the king unsummoned put you at risk of death. She could have died. Esther was scared, but Mordecai warned her that walking away was not an option. Some of you may feel like, "Oh my Lord, I don't want to do this. This is bigger than me. I don't want to launch a business. I don't want to write my book. I don't want to tell my story. I don't want to start a ministry. I don't want to do it." And Mordecai or someone like him, a person that's willing to father you and develop you, will tell you walking away is not an option. I love what Dr. Bostic did, yesterday at God's Grace Community Church. He said that you got to face Goliath. You got to face, you know what I'm saying, what you have to deal with because it ain't going nowhere. It's going to what? Chase you down. But when you run up on your problems, you throw your problems off because they're like, "Whoa, wait, why are you running? Why they running? Why they not walking?
Exactly.
Why they not going the other way?"
You better face Goliath because you know how big God is.
Right. But see, that means you have a different kind of confidence, right?
Yeah.
So she had to develop that confidence, which is why she asked people to pray and fast to build her confidence. For in setting yourself apart to do something great. And this was something great. So she thought, I am sure she could escape, but because no one knew that she was a Hebrew, her uncle showed her that seeing her people suffer an injustice was going to be an injustice against her too. You know, injustice is not just something that happens to you, but it happens to us all. It happens to the body of Christ. It happens to African American communities. It happens to communities around the world. You know, racial profiling is not just against Black people, it's against people. And yes, it impacts us in this country, but what happens when you're in another country and in another country? This same kind of profiling is still a problem. And so when we address injustice, we're addressing the injustice for all ultimately. But we're dealing with it because it's in our community or in our face and we can't run from it, right? So she had to face the giant and speak up for the kingdom of the Hebrews. She could not run and hide, but had to stand up and fight her battle. And I want to encourage you, if you have to fight a battle with confidence, knowing that the Father is there warring with you, for you. If he be for you, who could be against you? Okay. And win, right? A good father will encourage you to do something you are nervous to do but must do. They will not give you a way of escape, but help prepare you for the journey ahead. And that is the escape. You got to go through it, right? He put faith and encouragement behind her and did what she asked when she said to have the whole nation to fast. He helped to build her voice as a queen and daughters develop their voices to speak. Had to speak in one of the most uncomfortable situations and circumstances. And we have to raise our children, our sons, our daughters to be able to speak, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's going to make somebody else feel some kind of way. We still have to stand on the word of truth. Right. And a father is very influential in building that kind of muscle in a person. Likewise, you will help your wife to be a positive reflection of your leadership, equipped to be herself, an improved version of who she used to be before you. When you are able to father, you father your wife too. So you are also going to be that voice in her heart, in her mind, to let her know that she's able to stand and she stands on what you're also pouring into her. So the type of man you are, father you are, also impacts your wife. So now we're on page 54, and this is about Mordecai. So we're going to wrap it up here, y'all. So Mordecai was Esther's uncle, who was also a guard of the king. He did the right things concerning the king and acted with integrity. He was noticed by the king for exposing a group determined to kill him, and he was rewarded by the man who wanted him dead. He was a key component of Esther becoming queen and knowing how to walk in her role. He helped to direct her path and remind her of who she was when she needed to know it the most. The assignment: fathering children whom you choose or taking the responsibility for family, receive the flowers you are owed. Just accept them. If you're out here fathering children that are not yours, bringing them places, buying them things, doing things for them like Jacob does all the time, I want you to know you don't got to birth children to be a father, but you do have to care about children to father them. And so I encourage you to keep doing it. Two, I want you to know what your impact is, and that is gratitude. If the children you care for never tell you thank you or are ungrateful, may this entry be a statement of thanks. May you know.
I'll be saying they don't have to say thank you. It's all good.
Good, good. May y'all hear thank you more often, my brothers, y'all fathers out there.
I'll be telling them, you don't have to say thank you. Hey, it's all good.
No, they gotta say thank you because that's gratitude. That's what we should do to the Father too. So we learn
Yeah.
how to treat the Father in heaven by how we treat the Father on earth that we have. So they are your first example of fathering. Yes. Okay. 55. We almost done. Y'all doing so good today. All right. So make it personal. Let's go. So this is the reflection. So Mordecai was a celebratory man known for his good works in the kingdom. He took on point two. He took on the assignment to raise his niece. Point three. He prepared her for the throne and advised her on what to do to make the biggest impression on the king. Point four. When she was selected to be queen and a law was signed to kill the Hebrews, he encouraged her to stand up for her people. And five, he was a father who encouraged and shared the best parts of himself with his niece. He was a giver. Um, I say all the time that a king is a man who has a keen understanding, operates in integrity, has a natural way of being himself. He's not faking the funk, and G, he is generous. And to me, that's what makes a really great king. Cannot show me a good king that is not generous, because you have to be willing to give of yourself to your family, be willing to give to your children, be willing to give to the woman you want to marry. If you don't want to give to her, you are disgruntled and taking care of her. You don't want to do it. And sometimes men that are not ready to be generous to someone else, they expect the woman to carry her own bags, to open her own doors, to do all of these things that make them ungentlemanlike, of course. But it also shows that they may have an issue with generosity. And you may want to look at that because, if you really want to see your marriage in the sight of what the Father has for it, you got to be willing to give. The Father, that is the Father to us all. The first thing he did was gave. He said he gave his son. He didn't have to, but he did. And so he is the example of what we should strive to be, to become, and to have. Next, I will be a beacon of direction for those seeking fatherly advice and remind the people of Yah, of God, where their true beauty stems from, and that's within. Okay, so today I want you to say this affirmation, and even throughout the week, share these. And I will be a beacon of direction for those seeking and remind the people of God where the true beauty stems from, and that's within. So if the Father is living within you today, then that's where the power is. That's where the glory is. That's what he's looking for. And on next week, we'll pick up with King Ahaz, and we will try to get through King Saul, Abraham, King David. We might have to have some summaries popping off next week, and just read some points so you can get all of the chapters. But again, if you would like, if a new you and you care who's been doing great and you just want to encourage them, know, see them, there's the QR code. Download it, share it. If you want the physical, around $15, and they do come signed from me when you order from my site, authorkaylee.com. You order wherever books are sold, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and around the world. But of course, they ain't gonna be signed. So you can pick your location. Next, I want to make sure that I pray over your week and give you what you need. So, Father, in the mighty name of Yeshua, your son, the Christ, we say thank you. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for allowing those to pop up on the live and to connect with us and share their heart with us, even if they may not share it in the comments. Father, I pray that they'll share this conversation within their minds. I pray, Father, that you and show them how to become the Father you want them to be, the kingdom of God. They can bring out the best for you, how to be faithful with a little and with a lot, so that as you increase us, as you be generous, as you continue to pour spirit in the earth, that your people will be a beacon of light and encouragement to those that need you and need to know who you are, and that you are loving and favored. May their relationships heal, and may they establish greater heights in because of you and your faithfulness. I look forward to y'all testimonies. Please be sure to share them, drop them in the comments, or email them to me. In the mighty name of Yeshua, we say hallelujah, and so be it. Now, one thing I do want to share with y'all before I go, one thing I've been working on, and that the Father just laid on. I say this all the time, but I want to make sure I make it really clear. And, and I want to mortgages and all things all that. Not gate blocking, but gatekeeping. Share the word. From their own. QR code. Make sure that I put it on there. Oh, I'm gonna say insurance. All right. So, okay, cool. So I'm gonna. So the website is your moment where you do want to preserve your legacy and you do want to tell your story. I would love to help you do that. I got for you, and I look forward to seeing what all we accomplish next week when we're done with this book. The next book that we are going to be moving on to is going to